It's Mike of Farming Smarter here. We're back at the Flax Co-op pre-registration and SVPG trials. Right now we're just closing in on some maturity ratings and determinate habitat, things like that. So what we're looking for is we're looking for 80% of these bolls to be turning brown. You can see in this plot we haven't quite reached it, but you know, with another week and a bit of hot weather, no rain in the forecast, I think things are turning pretty quick. All the crops are getting harvested behind me, so I'm predicting in the next week or two we're going to see that maturity date, and then we'll show you a little bit more detail here. So the plot on my left here, this one's a little more advanced. I'd say we're just about at that 80% here, and I can even pull a few off. There's some really cool things going on. So in this plot here, oops, we're still a bit early, but you can see we've got a yellow flax variety. So the plot beside me here is a yellow flax. Yellow flax is a little bit sweeter, a little bit milder, and can be preferable for some like kind of baking and milling operations where you don't want that brownish color to impact what you're doing. However, in a plot like this with the brown flax, you do get a little better sometimes omega-3 fatty acid profile and some other things like that. So you can see the difference here. Well, this one looks actually pretty golden too. Let me go find you some brown. So we've got, in this trial, we've got both yellow flax and brown flax. Yellow flax is generally a little sweeter, milder, and got a little better flavor profile and maybe kind of milling profile for certain baking applications. You don't get the coloration, the darker color from the brown, but brown tends to have a higher certain fatty acids and omega-3 type fatty acids, a little better oil profile sometimes. So there is some different end uses and some specific reasons why an end user might prefer a yellow versus brown. And I'll just grab a couple mature ones here and kind of show you the difference. So here's a mature boll from yellow flax, and the other one beside me here is one from the brown. In fact, this brown isn't a very dark brown. Some of the brown flaxes I think can be a little browner, but you can see the difference there between a yellow and a brown flax. Yeah, so to finish off, I think we're going to be out here every day or two just checking to see how things are progressing. Once we hit that threshold where that kind of 80% to good majority of the plot has matured, we'll be looking at the stems. And then we've got a couple different charts so we can look at, you know, if I can find one here where maybe an individual plant is mostly mature, we'll be looking at, you know, how green this stem is here and whether or not it's turned kind of a yellow color or if it's still, you know, quite green like this. So kind of assessing that. So then the last thing we're going to look at here within the flax is the determinate habitat. You can see along some of the fringes there's still quite a bit of flowering, and within the plots maybe a few spots here and there. So one of the things, if we get different weather conditions, is we'll have some indeterminate growth, and you'll see things like this, you know, plants still forming flowers even though it's got a lot of mature bolls on there, and that can cause issues when you're trying to go in and harvest. You don't have the same consistency and uniformity like you do with other crops, and it's just good to note if there's some varieties that show a really strong expression of that indeterminate trait versus others that you know, maybe a little more uniform at harvest time. So just something to keep in mind and something that we look for out here. Usually my favorite time of the year is when this entire field is in bloom from the last shot. So we'll be keeping an eye on these plots for the next week or two, getting close to maturity. If we have a chance to check back in and show you, you know, harvest time or how they're looking when it's coming to combine, but otherwise this may be last you see for this year until we get data out and sent off with all the other locations across Western Canada. So look forward to that.